It is I, Barry.
And it is I, B. Ryan.
And we welcome to the Collecti-Bros podcast.
Banger.
You fucking nerd. Welcome back to the Collecti-Bros podcast. If you're new here, this is a video game collecting podcast where we focus on the collecting part of video games as well as the playing part. In this series, Is It Worth It?, we go over story, gameplay, sound, graphics, and the price and collectability to determine if a game is worth the price. If that sounds interesting to you, please continue on. If not, click somewhere else.
Bye.
I'll try to get to the point, don't worry.
Oh my god.
On this episode today, that will be approximately an hour and a half, and if that's too long for you, click away also.
Welcome to a podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. Enjoy your stay. We're going to talk about Harvest Moon 64. We just had an episode on farming games, and that kind of led into playing Harvest Moon 64 as an Is It Worth It natural choice. So, Brian, is this your first Harvest Moon game?
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit in the last episode, but this is my first really deep dive into this series. I remember I bought one on Wii and made sure it worked, and I was like, cool, that's about the most I played Harvest Moon. But this is my first deep dive, spending time with it, beating a Harvest Moon game, well, getting 2 years or whatever, but we'll get there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is my first experience, so.
Nice. So just a little bit about Harvest Moon 64. This is the second, technically it's the third game in the series if you're following Harvest Moon for the Game Boy. Me personally, I sometimes don't really consider handhelds as main title, but sometimes handhelds are main title, so it's kind of up to your decision. This is the second console, home console release of a Harvest Moon. The first one being on the Super Nintendo, and the first one being kind of what grandfathered farming simulators. So Harvest Moon 64 is a 3D, I don't want to say sequel because that's not the right word, but what am I thinking of, Brian?
It's like a spiritual successor, but I mean, it is kind of like a... I know there's a bunch of internet theories that this game's a straight sequel, and your grandfather that passes away was the farmer from Super Nintendo, but it's almost a... It's hard to describe because it's not really a reboot.
I don't know. Harvest Moon's kind of, and Story of Seasons, an anthology, sort of, to me.
It's a reimagining.
So this is just the second one in that series, regardless of if they're connected or not.
Right.
It's kind of like Final Fantasy, right? Final Fantasy 6 and Final Fantasy 5, don't cross over.
Yeah.
So in this one, this is our first 3D foray. It's actually 2.5D. It's not really 3D. It's kind of pseudo 3D.
Wise choice.
But, they took advantage of having experienced team and was able to kind of utilize the 64 to do what they kind of really wanted to do in the first game. But this one was developed by Victor Interactive Software, and it was published in Japan by Pack-in-Soft, which Pack-in-Soft was bought by, I think, Victor Interactive.
I believe that's correct.
Oh, yes. So it was published and developed by the same company. It looks like they just used the Pack-in-Soft brand for the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
But that was Japan. That was Japan, and then Natsume is the one who published it in North America. And Natsume, everybody knows Natsume for Harvest Moon, for River King, Real Fishing, Lufia, actually. So that's kind of where Rune Factory, Story of Seasons, obviously now. Actually, you know what? I don't know if they did Story of Seasons.
I know there's
I think somebody else got Story of Seasons.
Yeah, there's the whole crazy licensing thing. Yeah.
But Natsume is kind of synonymous with Harvest Moon, River King, Rune Factory for a good chunk of it. So
living life day-to-day RPGs, bro.
Yeah, and so this released in 1999 for Japan and North America. Europe never got a release of this until 2017 on the Wii U Virtual Console.
That's pretty wild.
So this was never physically available in the, as far as I'm aware, it was never physically available in the European nations surrounding area, PAL region. If you wanted to buy it on the Wii U Virtual Console, your time has passed because that shit doesn't work anymore. But this game is available on the Nintendo 64 Classics Collection for the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
And the Switch 2, which I believe is how Brian ended up playing it.
Yeah, I spent most of my time there once I realized it was an option. You know, I was sitting in front of my TV playing it on the 64, and then I started my peak season at work, and I was like, man, I got to crunch this game when I get home. And then I realized it was on Switch and transitioned over, so yeah.
I don't blame you.
Thankful it was there, bro, so I could play it in bed and pass out.
Yeah, which is kind of really the first time it's really been massively available.
Yeah.
To everybody. So this was a good choice for their 64 collection.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like. But yeah, it didn't get, 2017 was the first for PAL territories, and then it didn't get re-released again until 2023. So who's to say how long that's going to last? I don't know how long they're going to maintain their classics collection, so that might be a conversation for a different episode.
For sure.
But as of right now, it is on the classics collection.
Yeah, have they delisted anything yet from that? I don't think they have, but as we all know, this day and age, it's a ticking time bomb.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they've removed anything from any of them yet.
Well, one day it's going to happen.
We'll see. I mean, the 64 collection's only been on there for like 2 years, 3 years maybe.
Right.
So like they might have gotten longer licensing deals, or maybe just straight out bought publishing rights for some of these in digital format. Like, I'm not sure. I don't really know the inner workings of how this collection series is for Nintendo, but because there's some that's on there that I'm like, why is this on there? And then there's
Right.
others that like, why is this not on there? So I'm not sure how they're handling it, but
I don't think they
take
do
it
either,
as you
bro.
will, grain of salt, but anything in a digital format, it's not a guarantee that it's going to be there.
Correct.
So I would say if after this episode or even before, if you are interested in playing this game, that option is available legally on the Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
So, or you can spend a buku amount of money to play it physically in your hands. It's up to you.
With that shitty 64 controller.
Brian, do you have anything before we move on to the story?
No, as far as the intro, I think you covered all the ground, and yeah, what a perfect segue. It's almost like you had this planned from our last farming game episode, so great choice.
Thanks. So we'll just go straight into it. The story. All right, so the story of Harvest Moon is there. Okay, it's not really like anything groundbreaking. It's not no Expedition 33, okay? The basis of the game is you have to maintain an abandoned farm left by your grandfather. And that's kind of it. The game has a good ending and the game has a bad ending. And in my opinion, I feel like it's hard to get the bad ending. Because to get the bad ending, you basically have to like never sell anything, never have any animals, never marry anybody.
Yeah, you kind of gotta try, man.
Yeah, you gotta try to get the bad ending. But as you go to restore and maintain this farm, you're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. You're able to build relationships with villagers and marry them, and if you keep up with that, you'll eventually have a child. But if you don't maintain your relationship with your wife, like, she'll leave your ass. So there's also that, like, once you marry, like, there are some games where once you marry an NPC in the game, like, that's it. And that's where, like, you stop doing anything with them, you stop trying to court them, like, you've locked into marrying, which sometimes is like real life marriage.
Life vow.
Is once you marry somebody, yeah, like, you're like, oh, okay, I don't have to do anything anymore. Which, if you think that, you're doggy doo-doo, but... So in this game, like, there are actual consequences. There's actual consequences to treating your wife like dog shit.
Yeah, imagine that.
She'll leave you. So
and take the kid.
Well, there won't even be. We won't even get to that point.
Yeah.
She won't even get to that
I didn't
point.
have
with
it
the
happen to me. I'm a good spouse, bro, in game and real life.
If basically if you don't maintain that relationship, the relationship will end. You grow different kinds of crops depending on the season. A lot of this might be getting into gameplay, but like that's kind of really what the story is. And some of the story is kind of told in the small relationships with some of the villagers,
Yeah.
like learning about the mailman and how he's kind of like, once you start talking to more of these villagers and like building relationships with them and like giving them gifts and stuff, they'll start talking to you, or starting to court some of the people. But like the mailman, like once you talk to him a couple times, he starts revealing to you that like there's somebody that he likes, but he doesn't really want to, like he's too shy to talk to them. And then you kind of see that relationship like develop through the game. So a lot of the story, like the overall story, is very basic. You get a farm, don't fucking let it go to waste. Like that's it, right? But a lot of the smaller portions of the story are really built into the villager interactions. So it's not like, if you don't want to talk to them and you just want to farm, like that's what you're going to get out of the game.
Yep.
But they do really reward you for investing into the village, and they reward you with getting to know these people and getting access to new things depending on who you talk to or what you give to them. So that's kind of like how this game is built as a story, is it's not just like one point A to point B to point C narrative,
Yeah, it's one of those games that like the story kind of unveils like as you play it. And the way I saw somebody put it was like, this is an everyday life sim. So like if you think about the way you live your life, like your story is not, I was born, I went to work and I died. Like you have highs and you have lows, and that's kind of how this game is too with the characters, that when they grow and when they develop an actual relationship with you, they're not buddies like when you first meet them, Matter of fact, most of them are fucking dicks, but they do come around, and it is fun to like watch the growth over the seasons and over the year, where they like actually develop and turn into characters instead of just NPCs, I think it's a really cool storytelling narrative, man. I think the mail guy you brought up's like probably the best example, where he kind of just starts out delivering mail. And then for me, like he turned into like my rival for courting my wife, and I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're going, bro. Like, bring my mail. Here's your milk. Get out of here.
Was that Maria?
Yeah. Yep.
Is
Maria,
that what? Okay.
the librarian?
I was trying to remember.
Love me
of course, you went after the fucking
girl,
librarian.
Bro. She's
Jesus
quiet.
Christ.
Perfect life.
Oh man, that's not how it is in real life. I'll tell you that.
Hey, dude, I need that contrast. This is my escape from reality, playing games. Right?
Holy shit.
No, man, but the characters, they do carry the story, and like your individual relationship with said characters and villagers, like it adds a lot. And this game honestly tackles a bunch of subjects in a kind of like, in a way that most Nintendo games don't, right? Like there's domestic abuse, there's like alcohol, there's just not every relationship's just like, oh, hey, we're in the village and everything's perfect. And I was kind of surprised by that, man. I don't have a lot of experience with the series. I don't know if that's common. But on a Nintendo, I was like, you can get drunk and drink booze, and there's a bunch of really different things in this game. And one of the villagers, she ends up marrying the horse trainer guy, and she's like, yeah, we got into a fight last night. And then you talk to him, and his like character portrait.
I think his name's Cliff.
Yeah, yep. And he literally has a black eye. And it was like, she hit him? Like, what the fuck? This is a Nintendo game? Like, it's funny.
Yeah, and I think that there's ways to have villagers like marry different ones.
Yeah, I had a couple.
And I think it was that was something I had in the gameplay section, but
oh, I'm sorry.
It makes more sense to put it in here, but surprisingly it didn't suffer from censorship like a lot of games did throughout this time. Like you can actually buy beer, which when I played it for the first time, I was really surprised that it was shocked. Like, oh, I'm not going to the quote unquote bar to buy
I'll have a water
and milk and a juice, you know? It was so, and then you can go into the basement and like you can sneak into the basement and drink their wine, and like that's how you build your alcohol tolerance to win the drinking contest at the festival. Like there's a fucking, like people want to try to outdrink you at a festival.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised that this, especially for Nintendo, for the late 90s, and a Harvest Moon game that is geared towards, I almost want to say, a younger audience, because it's not styled like older people are going to play this. It's styled like a younger crowd's going to.
Even the aesthetics, like, it's so happy-go-lucky, but some of the story beats touch on, like, real-life consequences. The one that got me, or actually, honestly, I got a little emotional because it was really fucking sad and it was my fault, was when you let your first, or if you let your first animal die and they have, like, a little burial for him. Like, I watered the fuck up. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I love animals, bro, and they really make you guilty. Like, this is your fault. So
yeah, I had that one in here too, where they touch on some themes that like some others don't. Like, this one actually has a system where if your animals get sick, like, you do need to take care of them, and it's going to show you the consequences of that not happening if you fail to do that. And it's a whole like little graveyard burial scene with the fucking theme song.
sad as shit.
I don't believe your dog or your horse can die.
No.
But it's like your sheep and your chickens and your cows, like, they have the potential to die, and the game's gonna make you fucking know, hey, you fucked that up.
Yep.
And now you gotta go bury that thing.
Yeah, man, it is interesting how, like, a cutesy aesthetic game you think, but it handles some, like, real world situations and things that I did not expect. That was actually a really pleasant surprise. I actually really enjoyed the way the story was presented in this game. It kind of grew with me, and plus I was playing it portable most of the time, and it was unexpected. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, for a game that doesn't really have a story, like, there's a lot of story to be had. It's not very clear, like, I don't know how to explain it,
I like the idea that, like, you're the one driving the story based on your interactions, so you can kind of, like, get as much as you want if you do spend time with the villagers. Like, another good one for me was, like, the first person I talked to, because when I went into town, the first person I saw was the grandma in the rocking chair, and then she ends up passing, and she was the first one that was nice to me, so I was like, I'm gonna keep talking to her, and then she dies, and I'm like, damn, there's some, like, impactful moments in this game where it's like, you get as much out of the story based on how much you interact with, and that's always rewarding as hell. Especially, I didn't expect it in a farming game. I thought it was going to be, hey, how much money do you make until your dad gets back, And it was not that at all. There are some, like, hard-hitting moments, and it was a breath of fresh air because, like, I don't have a ton of experience in this genre, but, like, the farming game I play is Farming Together, where there is no story, So that was really cool for me personally.
Yeah, it definitely is. In a nutshell, Harvest Moon is about maintaining an abandoned farm that you've been left, right?
Yep.
But there's so much outside of the farm, because, like, you need to go to the store and you need to get seeds, and, like, you're interacting with these people in the town, and, like, it's not just the farm and, like, that's all you do. It's not dropping a farm in the middle of a forest and you gotta go forage shit constantly. Like, there's a farm connected to a town, and, like, you have to go talk to the dude that's gonna sell you animals. Like, it really does, like, it is very village-based interaction, because, like, you can't recycle your own eggplants and get the eggplant seeds out. It's not like, oh, okay, like, what are those people where they go out and they live off-grid, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a farming game off-grid where you're maintaining your own plants, you're maintaining your own heat, you're maintaining your own seeds. Like, it's not like, oh, I have to save some of my crops to get the seeds out of these ones so I can replant. Like, you go to the store and you buy them. Yeah.
It takes a village, bro.
Right. So now we've introduced the village and all the people that are up in the mountain area, and, like, all of these other people that are touching you and your farm and how you're interacting with them. And especially the festivals are a big vehicle for that too. Like, a lot of stuff happens during the festivals that kind of does that.
Fuck the swimming one. That's a little bit into gameplay, but yeah, it is a nice, like, my biggest thing, my closing thoughts for the story is, like, the way that you get as much as you put in with the story. And I think the characters driving the narrative is always really important too. And I did not expect that in a farming game at all. My expectations were very different for this game, and to be rewarded with some of that, which is cool because, like, when I first started the game, I pushed start the game, name my character, name your dog. It just throws you in. And I was like, there's not really a story. What the fuck? But then I realized, like, once you start the game, the story plays about, like, starts at the funeral of your grandpa and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And I actually kind of got invested in that the more I played and the more I got to know these characters. And I actually gave a shit about some of them, which is huge because I thought I was just be pulling plants the whole time.
Rolling out from the story, going into the gameplay. Gameplay we talked on just a little bit, but kind of to go a little bit more in depth. Like I said, you're able to build relationships with villagers, marry them, get children, maintain relationships. You're judged based on what you do and if you did it well. So I think at some point in year 3, your dad comes back to kind of survey the status of this farm, and depending on how much you've put in your shipping container, how much you've grown, your animals, how many animals you have, if you're married, like, it'll determine if you're on the path to the good ending or if you're on the path to the bad one. And then obviously the main part of the farm is like growing the crops. You grow different kinds of crops depending on the seasons. So eggplants, I think, are only available in the summer. And other plants and flowers are available in different seasons. Mm-hmm. And foraging is also in this one again. But this time we have a backpack.
Oh, that wasn't in previous games?
Yeah, so the first Harvest Moon did not have a backpack. So if you went to the wilderness area to get a berry or forage things, you had to go run all the way back to your farm to put it into the shipping container.
One at a time? Oh my god.
One at a time. So the fact that it has a backpack to store the items in, you can carry 8 items and then 8 tools, which is a incredibly huge improvement on the Super Nintendo game.
That's crazy.
It is annoying to kind of have to like push a start button to like constantly put shit in and out of your bag. But you can also use your horse as a shipping bin. So if you get your farm kind of big enough and you go to harvest, your little horse can be right there and you can just put it in the horse instead of running it all the way over to the shipping bin.
Shit was a lifesaver, bro.
Yep. And there's some other additions as well. Like you, for a very high price at some point, you can get access to the greenhouse, which will let you plant crops in the winter. Because normally, like, you can't do anything in the winter other than go into the mountain and forage, or you could go to the mine.
Yep.
And in the mine, you can get ore that you could use to upgrade your tools, but your tools also improve with constant use. So the cheesy way to do it is to... Because time doesn't progress outside of building, or inside of buildings. So as long as you're inside of a building, time doesn't move forward. If you go outside, that's when time starts to move. In this game, the time moves fucking fast.
Buddy, that was my biggest adjustment. I about panicked like my first 4 or 5 days, because I was like, how do you get anything done? This is fucking insane.
I know. It's stressful. You're just like, how am I supposed to... I barely had time to just like fucking till.
Or,
let alone plant and water. What the fuck do you mean I'm supposed to do anything out
other
here?
Harvest Moon games this fast?
I've heard that this one is one of the fastest.
Okay. I was wondering, because again, I'm not super familiar with the series, but that was a big adjustment for me. It was like, you think you're doing resource management and shit in other games. This game is like, you're doing millisecond management, dude, for real.
Yeah.
So like, I literally had to put my crops right next to the watering thing. I had to get my animals right next to the house. Every second matters, bro.
It really does. And you can, like, the cheesy thing is to, like, since the time doesn't progress inside, what you do is you go into the basement, you sneak into the basement where all the wine is, and when you drink it, it replenishes your stamina. So you just sit there in the basement and just, like, use your fucking watering can over and over and over and over and over, and then, like, drink wine to return your stamina, and then just use the watering can over and over and over and over.
And then the hoe and all that shit. Yeah, trust me. Once I found that out, I was like, okay, this is going to get a little less stressful.
So if you want to do that, like, there's the option to kind of cheese that leveling up system. But like the items that all the collectible items and whatnot, you can basically, there's no crafting in this game. So their uses are sell them in your shipping bin for your money or gift them to villagers. So depending on what items you give villagers, you might get access to different things or new things. And you also, like, just the town has a lot of places to go to. Like, there's a bakery, there's a bar, there's a church, the flower shop, a tool shop, the square where the festivals happen. Like, there's, I think, 2 main parts of the town, and then, like, the little area where the mountain is. The other area where, like, the animal farm is, where you can buy all your animals. And then animals in this, so not only do you maintain your farm, like, you also raise animals.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how many of them you have, like, you're going to get, like, milk and eggs and the wool from the sheep, but you need to keep them healthy. You need to feed them. You need to make sure you're growing grass in order to harvest the grass to give them. If they get sick, you need to get medicine for them. So there's a large part of the game that's based on that. And then on top of that, you need to maintain the relationships with your animals.
Yep.
Because if you don't maintain a good relationship with your animals, they're not going to perform well if a festival comes up, which the festivals are a huge part of this game.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on what day it is, a festival is going to come up. And there's a bunch of different kinds. Like, there's animal races. And that's when, like, you're not going to win the first horse race.
Hell
you're just
no.
not going to. But, like, the more you invest in your relationship with your horse, the more likely it is that you're going to win during the race. And the dog, too.
Yeah.
There's one where you can dance with potential people to marry in the town. The swimming one, like Brian mentioned.
Yeah, fuck the swimming
the
one.
New Year's festival, where you can get into a drinking contest. The cow, like, if you have a good relationship with your cow, like, depending on which cow has the best milk. Egg hunt, like, there's a shit ton of festivals, and a lot of the content kind of happens in the festivals. They do eat an entire day, though, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But for this game, for the amount of shit that's in this game, the time going so fast, it's actually a really stressful game. This is not like a little, ooh, let me sit down with a cup of coffee and a warm little cozy blanket and, like, play Harvest Moon. Almost said Animal Crossing. Jesus Christ. Let me sit down and play Harvest Moon 64. No, man, you better have all your you need to have the timeline ready.
Yeah.
You better have a plan of what you're going to do that day. You better have your fucking steps counted. Like, Harvest Moon 64 is not a cozy little fun game to play at your own pace.
Yeah, I don't want to ever hear anybody say, "Oh, a cozy game like Harvest Moon 64." Like,
no, Harvest Moon 64 will whip your ass.
That's the thing for me. Like, honestly, it was a bit of a struggle initially just because I didn't know, and thankfully, I ended up playing on Switch. By the time I was playing on Switch, I kind of knew what was going on. But I had a lot of trial by error initially. Like, my animal died, I said earlier. Like, I didn't know about them getting sick, and, like, I didn't know you had to go buy the brush to, like, keep them happy. Even, like, planting and stuff, it's pretty standard, but I was like, oh, I need to buy way more seeds than I'm buying to get more yield. And it was a big adjustment. Or even, like, just the controls and stuff too were kind of an adjustment. Like, having
Is there
Go ahead,
is there a digital manual available for this?
No, that I couldn't find. If there is, I didn't see it.
Not on the 64 collection thing?
No, but thankfully I had your physical copy, and that was helpful. And there is,
the
like,
manual is kind of a big part of, like, understanding how this game works.
For sure,
it is kind of unfortunate it's not available on the Switch.
It might be, maybe I didn't see it, but I will say, like, if you just, I'm going to watch a tutorial video at the start screen, like, it doesn't help as much as, like, knowing a little bit going in. And I would say, you know, if you're sitting here trying to beat this game, like, you're going to have to know a little bit, or you're going to fail. I failed a lot initially. My first little chunk of playthrough was figuring out the mechanics to a T and figuring out what works and what needs to go where. And yeah, it was stressful at first, honestly. I was kind of worried, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is not going to be, like, I'm not going to beat this shit in 20 hours. But I will say, once you get the hang of things, and once you're like, all right, I'm doing this day, I'm doing animals this day, I'm doing plants tomorrow, I'm courting my girl the next day, and you, like, set a schedule and you stick to it and you don't fuck off, like, it does get rewarding when you see your farm grow and your money grow and you get the upgrades and all that stuff. It is a rewarding experience once you figure out the secret sauce. But your first run might not be great. If I would have continued that saved, I might have got the bad ending, dude.
Right. I think Harvest, and that's how the Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo, or no, I'm sorry, the Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo didn't have this. So, like, the limited amount of time to work is kind of on this one. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong and someone correct me, but I don't recall the first Harvest Moon on the Super Nintendo having the whole day night, you better get your ass to bed or you're gonna pass out in the mountain kind of deal. So like it still goes through day cycles, right? It's still like, okay, well, when you're done for the day, you're done for the day. Even if you plant a million things, they're not gonna grow until you progress the next day. And that's kind of not, some games still operate like that. Some don't. Like, you know, Stardew Valley doesn't progress like that, where you are on a day-night cycle and, like, you're gonna pass out if you spend too much time awake. But this one, it's just hard. Like, and I think maybe that's my biggest criticism about this game is there's just not enough time. There's just not enough. I don't feel like there's enough time. I feel like I was too stressed for, like, the marketing of this game, right? Because I feel like this game was marketed as, like, a nice little fun farm game, but then you play it and you're like, holy shit, this is a fucking get good game, bro.
Dude, I'm kind of glad I started this one early, and I'm glad I started it on a cartridge, because if I didn't fail, I don't know if I would have just been like, oh, I got this, it's an easy farming game, I would not have beaten this game straight up.
No,
and the fact that I could
not.
pick at it and like relieve stress, and then once I figured out that rhythm, though, that secret sauce, once you get it, it's really not as bad. Like, it is difficult. Don't get it twisted. This is not an easy game, but, like, it's going to take you figuring shit out to make it not as stressful. Because
then you're going to think you have everything figured out, and then the fucking hurricane's going to come in and wipe it all out.
Don't even start about that fucking tsunami, bro. I got my greenhouse destroyed, like, literally the first season
I
got it.
Yeah, say goodbye to your greenhouse. I saw this thing where people were saying if you put the dog inside of the greenhouse, it would, like, protect it, but it still destroys the greenhouse and your dog just gets
teleported back,
generated somewhere. Yeah,
it's so funny. I saw that shit too. And I even loaded my save. I was like, ain't happening, and I still lost it. So I was like, okay, it's gonna keep happening. Fuck.
Yeah. Yep. So it's like there is a lot of stress that comes with this game. Like, it's definitely not for your casual farming game person.
Oh no.
You know. So you kind of have to be prepared to, like, have a certain amount of stress with this. So I would say, like, some of the newer Harvest Moons are maybe a little bit more relaxing, but, like, this one is brutal. Yeah. This is a brutal Harvest Moon game.
I'm glad we did the farm episode before this, because I kind of mentally could prepare for it too, because this is my first experience, and we talked about, maybe it was Harvest Moon, where it was like, oh, it's not super easy, you know, it's not just like whatever, you let this shit grow.
No.
If I didn't know that going in, especially like working and stuff while playing it, I would have been chewing my fingernails off, losing my hair, dude.
Yeah, it's rough. So there's a lot of things, and, like, not only that, but, like, one of the biggest things that I noticed early on is, like, you need the fucking speed reaction time of, like, a pro esports player to fish in this, dude. It is so hard.
It is so hard. You know what's really crazy for me? My first time doing it on 64, I struggled to, like, horribly, couldn't catch one. And then, like, the first time I played it on Switch, I got, like, 3 in a row, and I was like, did they make this easier or something? But then immediately, every time I tried to fish after that, impossible. So I was like, all right, I don't know if I just had, like, a weird streak going on, but yeah, it sucks,
I'm sitting here looking at it like, do I have a fucking input lag or what?
Yeah.
Because, like, I can't catch shit. Because, like, especially early on, like, before you really have anything to do, like, catching fish is your only means of income.
Yeah, that and foraging. But then that's a toss-up. You can waste so much time foraging. So, like, I tried to fish, especially when I got streaky. And, you know, fishing guy game here. I wanted to play some fishing. It was heartbreaking when I got to the end, and it was like, oh, he's not a great fisher. I was like, God damn it, fuck you.
Who is on this one, man?
It's tough, man. It's like literally I'm talking the millisecond you see that bobber go or his face change, you gotta push that button. Mm-hmm. It was unforgiving as hell.
And it ended up getting to the point where, like, I spent as much time possible fishing, because, like, I was so bad at it that I couldn't even fill my goddamn backpack.
Yeah.
So I can't even come back to my farm with a whole backpack full of fish. So I would be fishing until the late at night, and I just couldn't see the face. Yeah. I was like, I can't see his face.
Well, especially
so I didn't even know, like, when to click the button.
Especially early on, like the first fishing hole it gives you, like, your back's towards it. And then once I learned the trick of, like, hey, face towards the screen, I'm like, oh, okay, this makes it, you know, a 9 out of 10 difficulty instead of a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
There were a couple little things that I'm critical of. Like overall, I enjoyed my time with it, but I had it in my notes. I was kind of critical of the amount of space in the inventory you have, but knowing that you could only have one, I feel kind of guilty knocking it now in the previous game. But the system of like start, like you said, pushing start, equipping the item, and then putting it into the box, it was a weird control adjustment. Because like you would have to hold it.
It's awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the 64, you use the C buttons, and that felt actually more natural to me than using the Switch because it made you use the right analog stick. And there was times I like splatted my fruit on like the box just trying to put it in. I had to like load my save because I'm like, you can't let that shit go to waste. Like every dollar is important in this game. So that was a knock for me. And even on the Switch version, there is like that load time of when you equip a different items. Like if you have the hoe out and then you equip the axe, there is still like a 1 or 2 second delay, and that was kind of disappointing, honestly, on modern hardware. But
look, I'm going to say it on every single possible 64 game ever in existence of mankind. The controls are always a criticism.
yeah,
That controller is terrible. I hate it. I hate everything about a 64 controller. There's no good way to map anything on that controller. It's bad.
yeah. I will say the implementation of the C buttons is the first time I had a positive about anything 64 controller related. Because like even the thumbstick, like trying to use that to get your isometric view, so you're kind of at that angle to like line it up. Sometimes I was like, this is stupid with the 64 controller. I had zero issues on Switch, bro. So it boils down to that controller being that controller.
Yeah. Controller's dookie.
And then I had one more criticism of like there was that mission where you had to you're not a spy.
I mean, it's like a little
Yeah.
quest.
Yeah, there was like a quest where you had to watch that other guy's cows for him. So like I took care of them like they were my cows. I brought them to the inside. I fed them, and I ended up failing. And I was like, is this a glitch? Like they're all alive. Like what the fuck? It turns out you have to let them be outside. Even in like the rain and shit, you don't bring him in. You keep his cows outside the whole time. And I didn't know that until I looked into it. And I was like, I've already made my saves. I've already save scummed my saves. Like I'm not going to go back. So I felt bad, but they all lived. So I can feel good about that. It was just a weird choice to be like, this is how you do it in this game. And then we're going to flip it on its head without telling you. But
yeah,
if that's the only criticism I have, like not bad, man. Like we're off to a really strong start.
Yeah, I think my biggest criticisms are obviously the controls and just how much time you didn't have.
For sure, the time was
I wish I had a bit more time to like actually not rip my hair out.
Oh, for sure. Especially early on, man. Like I was sweating this early on. I'm like, how do people do this shit? But then you literally just have to like focus on the task at hand. It's like work, you know? Like this is farming game, so you know this is your job. Like even at work, I'm like, this is what I have to do right now. Then I move on to the next task. It was kind of jarring doing that in a video game, but once you figure it out and once you get your life together, just like real life, man, we good.
I like it for the most part. Don't get me wrong. Like I said in the farming episode, like I like the games that give me that stress of like you have a certain amount of time to do things, like you got to figure it out, which is fine. But this was like, you have 10 hours of shit to do in 2, figure it out. And I'm like, that's not what I don't want that.
Yeah, you literally can't get everything done in one day. Like you cannot get animals and plants and foraging and courting your woman. It's not happening. You pick and choose. Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, super jarring for me, dude. Like that was my biggest adjustment. And it took me, months in game to get adjusted to that. But I eventually did get the hang of it. And if I can figure it out, y'all can figure it out.
Next up on the list, the graphics. So this is a 2.5D camera rotational isometric game. I thought it aged pretty well, actually.
Man, honestly, I love the graphics for this game. I think we've talked about it on the podcast before where like a lot of developers for 64 specifically tried to be like, oh, let's just make this 3D for the sake of making it 3D. But like you can do a 3D world and still like have it feel like this previous game, right? And this game is like a perfect example for it. I know like a long time ago we did the 2D to 3D episode. If I would have played this in, this would have been like my shining example of like how you bring a game over to 3D and let it feel and let it breathe like it's the original game, I think the art style like this, where it kind of looks like it was like clay, they're almost like elongated Funko Pops with like expressive faces, and the animation was really there. But like, I think this art style ages so much better than just like polygon bullshit, man. Like, don't get me wrong, I really love like the 16-bit art style, especially in like farm games. That's kind of what I'm used to with Stardew Valley and shit you see. But like, this looked great, man. And everyone kind of shits on the Switch version for some reason. Like, I had no issues. Like, it was pretty looking. I was playing on the OLED portable, and I was like, this game looks and ages so much better than it would have been like polygon mush from N64. Like, you know that N64 look I'm talking about.
Graphics are a big reason why I don't like 64 games.
Same.
And this one actually looks good and retains it. I think it's stylized, so it doesn't. It's not stylized. Like, I feel like Super Mario 64's graphics are dated.
Yeah.
And it's still styled for like Mario,
yeah.
right? But the way that they've stylized this game doesn't feel dated in the same way that something like Mario or Star Fox would.
That's super fair. If they release this game new,
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah, if they release this game new today and this is the art choice they took, you'd be like, this is fine, this is cool, this stands out. It doesn't feel like this is the Harvest Moon because it's stuck on a 64, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if this was released today, I think the most that they could probably do is like give it a texture upgrade, but outside of giving it a texture upgrade, like, you don't really need to change like the models or anything like that, you know?
They were all animated really well. Like, even the cows are like expressive. They make different faces when you milk them. The sheeps, when you shear them, are like the most adorable shit ever. Like, they do the little waddle.
They're all naked and
honestly,
shit,
the animals were like the standout for me. I mean, obviously I'm an animal guy, but they were so freaking cute, man. Like, the way they move.
Or like how the dog was just like floppy when you'd pick him up.
Yeah. But the dog was funny too, because he would like randomly piss on things, and even in the house, like. But they're all like really expressive. Like, if they had idle animations, which they move constantly, so they kind of don't. Like, the idle animations would be awesome, but like, so adorable, man. And it added just so much charm to this game. Like, even like you're talking about the dog, like the way he runs. Like, if you get too far ahead of him, he'll sprint towards you, and his tail wags, and it was awesome, man. I think the graphics, like, honestly, one of the high points for me for this game. Like, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, my biggest critique about the graphics is how dark it gets. Because like when you progress to the nighttime it gets dark, right? Okay, I understand that. It's supposed to be nighttime, but you can do that with a different color palette.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just so hard to play the game when it was nighttime in game because they just dimmed the brightness.
Right.
So it was still the same color palette, but they were like, let's go ahead and put a black layer over everything and just crank the opacity instead of making it like, we could have changed it to where like when it goes from daytime to like evening, it gets a bit more orangey. And we could have changed it to where it's like, okay, it's going to be nighttime. It's going to be a lot of purples and a lot of blues and a lot of like deep greens and stuff like that. But instead it was like, let's just turn the brightness down.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see anything. So I'm like, all right, this is like super unenjoyable because a lot of this shit I had to do at night, right? Because you have to crunch all the time out of this you possibly can.
Yeah, you don't get a choice. You gotta work at night, and it sucks. Like, later when you get married, like, you're supposed to go to bed with your wife to keep her happy, but there's times where I was like, sorry, girl.
Like, I have to work through the night, and the game is making it really difficult to do that because I can't see anything.
Right. Especially when you're foraging is when I noticed it.
And it's not an enjoyable, like, okay, maybe 10 feet out from your character model, like, you can see stuff, but it gets really hard to see outside of that. Like, I can understand that, right? When you go into a dungeon or a cave in Pokemon and you only have a little circle around you unless you use something to, like, see. I could understand doing something like that where it gets harder to see as you move. But just making the whole thing fucking brightness 10, I was like, God damn, man.
It's a fair criticism. I remember early on I was like trying to forge because that's how I got my money very early in the game, like constantly what I did. And I got like lost in the woods. It wasn't as bad for me because the layout of your farm, but it is a fair criticism, dude, for sure.
But I mean, outside of that, like, all of the character and NPCs have pixel portraits.
Yeah.
And when you talk to them, all of them have various expressions depending on the mood or like what you're talking about. So it was a really cool touch to see that they included various versions of what their characters looked like instead of just being like a stock You know, like, because some of them are just, like, normal little villagers. Like, they don't have a huge impact on something.
Uh-huh.
But they still, like, took the time to treat every single one of them with, like, various pixel portraits.
Oh yeah, and especially when you get characters you care about, that adds even more to that pie, right? Like that was awesome. I think the darkness literally is the only critique I can think of for the graphics for this game. I think it ages well. I think it looks well. Like it was a pleasant surprise because honestly I didn't know. I assumed it was 3D because it was on 64, but like I think this is like the perfect implementation.
Yeah, it is that pseudo 3D.
Yeah, because even when you like spin the camera with the bumpers, like it moves and it's 3D or whatever, but it's not like, you know, your traditional 3D overhead, like Diablo type of bullshit. I think another really nice touch for this game was like in season, right? Because there's other games when it switches seasons, it's just like, oh, it's snowing, it's clearly winter, and it's the exact same looking. Like they did a really good job. Like once you left your farm and you got into like the wilderness, like it felt like you were in a different season based on the graphics alone. Like you had different critters, like wild animals that would show up during different seasons. I do think they did a great job of like separating the seasons, but not just being like, oh, look, you see a leaf, it's clearly fall. Like it felt like you were in a different season. And the graphics added so much of that, just like exploring, especially in the foraging segments. Like the farm, yeah, it's still your farm or whatever, and the dirt's a different color, but it was really cool to see wild animals, and like they, you know, you can't do anything with them. Snakes don't bite you and shit, but it's still cool to see there. It's a nice touch, man.
The last category before we start really talking about the price of this, the sound and the music. Alright, so there has been some questionable debate about the composer of this. So the composer who is credited for this is Tsuyoshi Tanaka. Now there is also another Tsuyoshi Tanaka, Jesus Christ. Tsuyoshi Tanaka that's credited for a whole bunch of Capcom shit, like Devil May Cry producer, Monster Hunter producer, and I have yet to find anything that's for sure confirming these are the same two people. So the Tanaka that I see that's being credited for the soundtrack on this, for the VGM database, the visual arts and games video game music database. Good God. That person is also credited as Chackey. So I don't know if these are the same people.
Yeah.
It's quite possible that they just have the same name. Just like there's a fucking John Smith on every street corner.
Right. It's tough just trying to find some research for some of these older games. They just didn't like keep track of this shit like they do now, man. It's unfortunate.
So, and I found the LinkedIn account for the producer, Tanaka, and nothing on there has him indicating that he ever worked in music production or music composition, so I can't say for certain they're the same two people. He's only giving himself credit as far back as it says he was an editor in magazines from October of 96 to April of 2001, which would have been the time period that this game was made and came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see how he was an editor in magazines and then also like a music composer, unless he was freelance and then decided to not say that he did that. I don't know, like if you're the music composer of Harvest Moon, I feel like that's a pretty good thing to put on your resume. Right. So I don't think these are the same two people.
Yeah, it's really weird because like even the Internet Movie Database page, it's like the guy that's got credit for all the Capcom stuff, he's got a composer credit for Harvest Moon Magical Melody, but not for this game. So I'm like, I don't know. I really wish I knew.
Yeah, I don't think they're the same people. I think this is just a probably possible like a crediting mistake.
Yeah, I didn't watch the credits, I'm gonna admit, so I couldn't tell you.
That's what I mean. They could have the exact. It's fully possible they have the exact same name.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing the LinkedIn guy give himself any credit for this game.
Yeah.
Or music composition or sound editing of any kind.
That's the thing. Like people love this game. Like you're saying, this is a nice credit to be like, yeah, I did the music for that game. You know.
Yeah. So I don't think they're the same. But the person who is credited for this has done a couple other things, and that's kind of really it. Like, they did create a Twitter page in 2007, but never posted anything. So the most that we can pull out as a credit is Harvest Moon 64 composer. Did some music programming in Lunar, Silver Star Story for the Saturn and the PlayStation, and then also did the music for the original Harvest Moon. So that's kind of why I don't really think that they're the same people, because to not give yourself credit for the fucking Harvest Moon music is kind of a big deal.
Right.
So I can't literally pull anything else up about this guy except for a couple things that he touched.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not saying someone can be a master of multiple trades, but the other guy was like really involved with like localization and marketing, going from like arts to like the business side of things. Usually not something that happens. Artists are usually artists and business people are usually business people. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's probably a different person just based on that.
Yeah, it's just an interesting thing to not give yourself credit for.
Right. Yeah, be proud of your work, man, because I honestly like the music in this game.
Yeah, regardless, I think the music, atmospheric wise, it fits for where we're at. I was a little bit more impressed on the sound editing of this game. I think the sound is great. I love the footsteps that you go everywhere. The sound effects and the ding noises when you put things in your backpack or like take them out really makes sense. They have a sound effect for everything. Like, even like throwing the seeds makes a little noise. All the animals have their own sounds. So I think the sound editing and the sound choices for this game were really good.
Yeah, I agree. The music was good. It wasn't anything like, oh my god, this is going on my Spotify playlist. But the important thing was for it added to the way you feel in the different seasons, like the thematics of it, right? It was great. Like, every song, like if I just played the song blindly, you'd be like, that's got to be the winter song, But yeah, dude, the sound design was awesome. The big standout for me is like when it went night and you had the different birds in the woods, and then when you got back to your farm, like there was still birds chirping or owls hooting, but it wasn't as like vast as it was when you're out in the wilderness. That was so cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a song for every season. I like the dog race song a lot. But like all the special festivals have their own songs.
Yeah, the dance festival music was really cool too, and it was like upbeat, and they were dancing to it and animated, like really awesome. Everything was like where it belonged. There wasn't any head scratchers for sure.
Yeah, no, and the music does sound like, okay, like this is a farmy or like a villagey type like song. It's not like I got fucking Sonic the Hedgehog at a random point in a, like, oh, you're gonna go into the mine. For some reason, it sounds like a high upbeat bullet shooter for whatever fucking reason.
Drum and bass don't kick in when you hear the mine.
Yeah. So their choices were good for where they placed them in this game.
Yeah, I agree though. The sound design was just phenomenal, man. Especially like in nature. I've already said this like 8 times this episode, I think, just being an animal guy. But it was so cool. Even like the snake, when it slithers past you, it's got like a sound that's dedicated to that animal. The squirrels had their own sound. Like, they didn't have to do all that, especially on a cartridge, man. Usually it's where they take compromises and it's in the sound. Like, the sound was awesome in this game.
I liked it.
For sure.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I know our sound sections are always so small, but...
Hey, look, we did what we could with the information we had at this part. We always try to find more about the composers and stuff, but just these old games, man, the further you go back, they just... people didn't
it's hard.
Take pride in their work like that. It was just a job back then. Video games weren't what they are now back then, so it wasn't like... you worked for a company back then, you pretty much stayed there or until you moved on. They didn't archive a lot of things. There wasn't like behind the scenes footage. So it is what it is, man. It's just product of time, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, some of these people who do work on games this old like aren't in the industry anymore.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to like trace like where they've gone or what they're doing now. So it's hard sometimes to kind of like, I have a name, but like that's the name I can give you, Sometimes you gotta literally go find a video on YouTube and hit to the credit section to find where the name is, because no one's wrote it down anywhere.
Right. Yeah, that's why you need to keep watching the ads, boys. We can fund a private detective and find this guy.
Yeah, I think I had to do that for Izuna. I was like, who the fuck is the composer?
Right.
Go to the credits.
Yep. And sometimes they use surnames and stuff too, so it's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, like this guy. Like he has his name and then he's got his composer name or whatever you want to call it is Chackey.
Yeah.
Chackey. And then sometimes it's Chackey.TANAKA or Chack capitals EY.
Yeah, Google
like
didn't help
in Harvest
with any of
Moon,
that.
he's credited as Chackey.
Yep.
And then I think Harvest Moon, he's Chackey. And then I think Harvest Moon 64, he's Tsuyoshi Tanaka. Yeah. So sometimes like his name changes based on what he's working on.
Artist, man.
Yeah. But the final and the big question, the final thought and big question.
The reason we're here.
The price, yep, the collectability, and is it worth it? North American sales, according to VG charts, is around 250,000 copies. Apparently, there are more copies of this than the Japanese one. I don't know if that's true or not, but I am very interested because 9 times out of 10, when we talk about the prices of these versus like Japanese versions, there's less Japanese copies and they're not as expensive. So like, I'd be curious if anybody's listening to this and you're a Japanese resident, what does the collecting scene look like over there? You know?
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Do y'all collect games like we do?
I mean, I know one guy that was like stationed in Japan and he collected games, but that doesn't count. You know what I mean? He was still able to get
it's still an American in another company. I'm talking count. Like you're a Japanese citizen through and through. Do you guys collect Japanese games like we collect North American games? That's what I'm curious about.
Right.
Maybe someday I'll get that question answered, but
yeah, I would be curious.
I just wonder sometimes,
especially for a case like this where it is like a Japanese system, Japanese developer, publisher. You think like this would do more in Japan? I don't know. Who's to say? I know the population is smaller. Don't get me wrong. Godzilla 2. That's the last one we did before Is It Worth It? And I thought Godzilla was like, I think I even made the comment. I was like, oh yeah, I'm sure it sold more in Japan, and it didn't. I was like, it's fucking Godzilla, dude. How did it not?
It's a lot smaller of a country, and I have to remember that. But I'm also just thinking about, even though it is a smaller of a country, what is the collecting scene like there? Like culturally,
I would be curious.
No space, no collection? I don't know. But, so, this game, the North American, I did not look up anything for Japan, just as its North American prices. Cart is about $60, give or take.
I was really surprised by that, by the way. That's
about $60, maybe a little bit more if it's super clean, less if it's nothing. I saw some faded label ones that are about like $40. This one's got Dookie all over it, and somebody wants $90, but that's, I guess, their own shit.
That's the way you eBay.
But yeah, about sold, I've been seeing anywhere from 45 to 65, so kind of in that range. 45 if you're okay with it being damaged. Complete in box is kind of difficult to pin down. Mm-hmm. So there's somebody sniped one of these for $30, and I don't know if it was real. It looked real. I don't know if it was. It said complete authentic, and I was like, who the fuck put that up for $30? If somebody got a deal, I'll tell you that much. My app is putting it at about $260. So just for that, we're going to say this is about $250 with the registration insert, because I have seen some consistency as far as those being sold at that price.
Yeah.
There's a couple recently that sold for less, and there's a couple that are available currently for less than that. But like anything that's cardboard and cartridge, it really comes down to condition.
Yep.
People will pay a premium on 64 games if it is a crispy box. So just keep that in mind. So I'll put it at like 200 to 250 depending on how clean it is. I think there was one out there that was like 150 or 150 to 180 range, that the box wasn't in great shape, and like the booklet still had the cover and the inside, but they were like, the cover was separated. So it wasn't like intact. So, the more money you spend, the nicer of a copy you're going to get. It is anybody who collects cartridge knows this. It's a very different territory than the disc-based games.
For sure.
So yeah, this one that's got some Dookie on it sold for $45.
Spend the extra money and don't get duked, bro. Come on.
Yeah, don't get duked. I mean, this one was box and cartridge only for $140.
Yeah, someone
But
got a
then
deal.
right next to it is a complete in box $140 with a registration card.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You know, it's typical of these games. If it's got the registration card, it's gonna add $50 or so.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe the price on this one is a little bit lower because it is a rental copy. Because it does have the stickers around the cartridge and the rental stickers on the back of the box. So
some people like that shit.
You know, that's gonna bring it down to some people. But that's where I'm gonna sit here and say it's if you want a pristine, complete, no stickers, intact everything, you're looking probably at about $200 to $250.
Yeah.
Depending on how minty you want to get.
I'm seeing $250 be pretty consistent, and then I saw like a ridiculously minty, like super clean one for $300. So.
Yeah, I'm seeing this one's a really good minty one for like $210.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of what they're fluctuating around recently, but is it worth it? So
my 2 cents with this game is the PAL thing is really interesting for me. Again, physically, I thought I was stuck playing this game on a 64, and I was actually really surprised with this game. It's not a series I have a bunch of familiarity with. It's not a genre I have familiarity with. I really like this game. I actually want a copy of this game after playing it for this podcast. You know, this is the price we pay for cardboard. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. Like, this is kind of the going rate for an exclusive that's got 64 in the title and ain't going to be on anything else. I don't think it's one they're ever going to like fully remake. I know there was like that loose remake. I don't remember the name of it. Another Life maybe or something like that. Where it was like a retelling of this game and they added some mechanics.
It was
things.
A Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life, yeah, something like that. But I don't know. There's something nice about playing the original version of it. And man, just from the gameplay alone, I think it's worth the price, honestly. Like, this game really surprised me. Graphically, to find something where it was like, hey, this is damn near the first game I'd pick off the shelf and show somebody if I was trying to impress them with like the 64's graphics and art style, right? That for me was really huge. The little details of this game, like I actually ended up really enjoying the story and kind of like growing with the characters and everything. I thought the narrative, the way it was presented was worth, you know, it's different. Like you can go buy a full-fledged RPG game and get that experience, you know, it's detailed and catered to the story, right? But like playing through the story and it growing with you and giving a shit about characters is not something I expected with this game. This game surprised me in almost every aspect on the board. The graphics, the story, the gameplay, the sound was like really awesome. This game is charming as hell, man. Definitely 100% worth playing. I think a cartridge at $60 is super reasonable, honestly, if you want to play it on a cartridge, if in case it does get delisted from the Switch Online. That's super reasonable to me, honestly. But, you know, I think it's a safe buy at $250. We talked about it a little bit. The market's kind of set for cartridges, you know. I think this is a good buy at $250. It's an exclusive. There's not a ton of different variations. You got NTSC and you got NTSCJ, you know. I think this is one I would want in English due to like the dialogue with the characters and everything. Like I want to be able to understand it. But yeah, man, I feel really comfortable at $250 for this game, honestly. Nice little jewel to 64. Like this is going to be probably one of my games where I'm like, this is one you need to play on the 64, you know. This would be top 3 64 games for me as far as I'm concerned, honestly. Which I did not expect going in, by the way.
So this game, based on price charting, is about the same price as a complete... It's a little bit more expensive than a complete Majora's Mask, Paper Mario, smidge more than a complete Pokemon Stadium, and then it's less than Earthworm Jim, Snowboard Kids, Duck Dodgers.
Like, I'd rather have this than Snowboard Kids, you know?
Conker's Bad Fur Day, Star Soldier. So that's kind of the game range that you're looking on this.
Yeah. I would definitely rather have this than Snowboard Kids. No questions asked. I think this game, even if, you know, you're paying money for it, it's got a bunch of replay value too. Like, I did not fill up the photo album. Getting a perfect run for this game would be really difficult, but it'd be really fun to like try to go for. And now that I know what to do for some of these events, like this is one that I would pick at again. And it's on Switch, so I can do it. This is one I might keep my Switch next to my bed and just kind of pick at again to try to get more unlocks. And you can keep playing after your dad visits you too. So like there is replay value for this game. I feel pretty good at $250 for this game. Like honestly, yeah, I would say this is worth it for me.
I don't know. $250 is a bit much for me.
I mean,
because I'm trying to think like.
I have a counter.
I mean, it's a decent 64 game. Don't get me wrong. It's just like
I'm not a 64 guy, and this is one I actually want for 64. I guess that is a little contributing factor too. But I'm also looking at if you want a cartridge Harvest Moon game, your other option is Super Nintendo, and that game is really expensive, dude. Like
it is, but that one has a lot more like historical value to it.
For sure.
You know, and that one, like, I feel like the price on that is justified when you're talking about a game that started an entire genre.
Yeah.
You know, this game doesn't start an entire genre. It just gives some improvements on the first one.
Yeah.
So it's not like, holy shit, Harvest Moon 64 means a huge deal to the series as a whole. It's just like, there are some things in Harvest Moon Super that this one improves on, and it looks a little better.
Yeah. How do you feel about a cartridge for like, $60?
It's also interesting because like the cartridge is the complete in box price. Like if we're talking the cartridge price, that's a different group.
Yeah.
So you're looking like it's less expensive than Mega Man. It's less expensive than Pokemon Stadium. It's less expensive than Majora's Mask and Paper Mario and Snowboard Kids. Like it's less expensive than all of those. Daikatana is more expensive. It's valued more as a complete in box and not so much as a loose price.
Uh-huh.
I don't know historically if that has anything to do with the Nintendo Switch thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean it's gone down since 2013, and that's when it came out on the Switch thing. 2013 it was a little bit higher, maybe more in the 70s.
Oh yeah, for the Wii U.
Yeah, and it did take a little bit of a dip in 2017 too, once it released on that shop, and then went back up after COVID. So it's kind of getting back to like a normal. It retained a solid like 30 to 40 for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
$60, like I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility.
It is more difficult
we say
us.
We say it every time when we talk about cartridge prices. It's always so much more expensive when you were talking about a cardboard box.
Yep.
I think $250 is a little too high for me. I think I'd rather it be around $200.
Which is nice. It looks like you can snipe them for a little that or a little bit more. You know, it looks like it's possible if you're patient, which is a great option. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if you really want to pay like on the high end, like. The options there, I think it's a little bit. I think the lower range is a little bit more reasonable for what this game is. You know, it does have a lot of replay value. Graphically, it does look really good. It's just not like, I don't know. I think that there's a 64 bias, especially with Harvest Moon as a 64 bias, and I think that people will pay more for this Harvest Moon because they can't afford the Super Nintendo one.
Yeah, that's
so they're
fair.
like, let me get the next best thing. It's still $500 cheaper, you know?
Dude. We see that with comic books all the time. It's like the second appearance of Deadpool, people will upcharge that because it's an early Deadpool appearance you can afford, you know?
Yep. Or second printings, it's like, shit, I can't get the first print, but like I can afford a fucking silverback on those. You know,
yeah, you might be onto something there, bro.
It's just, I don't think it's as good as $250. I just think that it's not $800 that the original is.
Yeah.
It's the affordable Harvest Moon, but I don't think it really should sit in that $250 range.
It is just so hard with cardboard, man. Like, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's like, you're going to pay that premium. And this is a pretty beloved game in this series, from what I understand. It seems like people really like this game and like the echelon of the series. So like I get why there's a premium for it. And at one point it was more difficult to play. So you're going to pay to play, but if it costs $60 to play this game, like I think that's a very valuable option. Like us, we're like complete in box collectors. So it's tough to be like, yeah, buy a cart for $60 when I won't do it myself, you know? But I think it's a viable option if you want to play this game. And you know, someday that digital version is coming down, whether we like it or not. It's just a matter of when. You know, you could pay $60 for the year for Switch 64 online, or you could own it forever at $60. That's what you're looking at.
Right, and like, if you start looking at stuff like, sure, this is a beloved Harvest Moon game, but like, it's not it's not consistently listed as like people's best Harvest Moon. It's always Animal Parade and A Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I have heard
like
a lot
A Wonderful
about
Life
Animal
is the one that I see the most people say this is the best Harvest Moon game, you know? And that was a GameCube game that you can get for fucking $20, $30.
Wow.
You know, it's accessible. It's on PlayStation 2. It's like it's more accessible than this game. It's picked on as like a better game. And as games go on, they improve, obviously. Like, I'm not saying of course it's a better game, it's a newer game.
Right.
Not all newer games are better games. We've seen that, okay? But it's like, why, you know, if I want to play a really good Harvest Moon game and my console is not a problem, why would I pick Harvest Moon 64 over A Wonderful Life and have to pay $200 extra?
It's a valid point.
Because you're a 64 collector with a 64 nostalgia? I don't know.
Yeah,
you know?
no, honestly, that's like
kind of what it boils down to. It's like, do you want a historical piece for Harvest Moon? Like, this is the closest you're gonna get to the original.
Yeah. I think that's a really valid point, and honestly, it feeds into my evaluations. Like, I don't have a bunch of 64 games. Like, this would be a nice one to have, and I literally want it because I had fun playing on the 64. It is unfortunate you gotta pay $250 for one. Like, maybe I can try to snipe one, but I think this is, for me personally, again, let me underline that again. Me personally, this is a game I want for the 64 because I'm not a 64 fan. Like, listen to previous episodes. This is probably the most positive I've ever been about a 64 game. Like, I was genuinely surprised with this game.
And don't get me wrong, like, this is also why I have this one, right? I like Harvest Moon, and it's the next best thing than buying the original. Would I prefer to have the original? Yeah, the original is more my style, even without the improvements of, like, a backpack or whatever. But I think this one boils down to people will pay a little bit more because they don't have to pay $100, you know?
Yeah.
And it's still a shelf show-off piece at that point. It's still Harvest Moon 64. I just think $250 is a little bit too high.
It is. It's just damn fucking cardboard. I think also being on 64 doesn't help it. Like, that's kind of it's high right now, or maybe it's coming down a little bit, but like 64 and PlayStation's like our generation. Like, we all got big boy jobs now.
And it's interesting because, like, even in the boom, right? Even if you're talking in the 2020, 2021 boom, like, your cartridge price was still holding at about, it went up a smidge to like 50, right? But your cardboard box price was still $150 complete.
Yeah.
So, like, all of a sudden, 2022, 2023 hits, we start hitting $300. I just don't understand, like, why. I don't know, and maybe that's what we talked about in the last episode of the farming boom, right? Where we saw the farming boom go up, and people wanted that game at that point. But it's just like, it ain't worth that much. Give me a 150 is a great spot for this to be at.
That's no question.
I would agree with 150 all day.
It's no question at 150, honestly. Yeah, and it sucks because, like, it was there. I missed my chance. It's not something I knew that I would enjoy, honestly. But yeah. Now you got to pay to play.
And I think it does have one of the best cover arts for a game that we actually got in the West. Like, the cover of this game is actually the fucking game.
Yeah, it's adorable, man.
It's not anything goofy looking.
Right.
It's cute. It's to the point. It's literally like Harvest Moon. What you see on the box is like how the game looks too.
Right.
So
yeah, it's a lot of the times in 64, it's like polygonal bullshit character on the front. Like, they made a good decision here with, like, it displays well, you know? It's not just some ugly fucking jargon on the fucking box.
Mm-hmm. And if we're adding it piece by piece by piece too, like loose plus box only plus manual, you're still at that $200.
Yeah, making
price.
Frankenstein ain't gonna help you with this one. I saw like a manual and a cart sell for $100. And I don't think the Japanese version's a viable option for this either. Like, you want to know the characters, you want to see the dialogue. I think all that's really important in this game. So it is unfortunate.
Yeah, I think, like, you can play it mechanically, and like you can understand, like, this is the thing I need to plant, like, to till and to water and do whatever. Like, these are seeds, and that's probably how much they cost. But to get anything extra outside of that, like, you do need to buy it in a language that you can understand.
Yeah, and that's what really added to the game for me. I had a better experience with this than I anticipated, so I would dearly miss all of that stuff. And it sucks because you can get the Japanese version for like $60 complete. $50 complete. Damn.
So is it worth it? It sounds like we're divided.
I mean, yeah, I'm still gonna stick with my guns and say yeah, just because I had a great experience with this, and I didn't even play it the best way possible. I played it portable at work, working 14-hour days for most of the time. It was like Yeez last year for me, but yeah, man, this kind of surprised me quite a bit. Like this was I'll damn near say this is one of my favorite games I played for the podcast this year. So for me, yeah, but again, to each your own.
I'm gonna say no, just because where I think this needs to sit is a little too far away from where it's actually sitting.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism, man. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
I think this is the first one we've had a disagreement on.
It might be.
Usually we're right there with it. And don't get me wrong, like I'm the farming guy,
Yeah.
But I can't get behind this game
honestly,
at $200 price.
It kind of justifies my answer even more. Like this is also the first game other than fucking Farm Together that I've played, and like I had a really great experience with it. I really enjoyed my time. Like this is one that kind of left an impact on me, man. Like I was pleasantly surprised in every direction for this game, so that's why I went with yes, and I still feel comfortable there. It is a lot of money, but it's one I want to like remember, and that happens when we do this podcast. There's games where it's like, oh, I really want to copy this now, but this one for sure.
And I wonder if that reasoning is also a big difference between us. Like, I am a previous Harvest Moon player, and, like, this is the first one for you.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has anything to do... Like, if my opinion would be different if I had never played Harvest Moon or if I wasn't into farming games.
100%. I think it definitely has contributed to my answer. But who knows? I might play one of the new ones, and it might be great, and be like, fuck, I just wasted $250.
Harvest Moon 64. Worth it? Inconclusive.
First one ever, man. It's pretty wild.
Inconclusive. I mean, that's what happens when you don't have a tiebreaker anymore.
Yeah.
That's okay. What do you guys think? You can be our tiebreaker.
Oh, yes.
What did you think down in the comments? Was it worth it or is it not? Who do we agree with? Let us know in whatever form of content. If you want to come let us know on the Discord, link is in the show notes. We're on Spotify. Brian, what's next?
We're going to do another Is It Worth It to wrap the year up so we get equal number. And I decided to pick a game that's exclusive to the original Xbox because we're talking about me. It is Bloody Roar Extreme. You familiar with the Bloody Roar fighting game series?
It's fighting furries.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one, I didn't grow up playing this Bloody Roar. I grew up playing the shit out of one of the demo discs. I think it was Bloody Roar 2. It was like a Pizza Hut demo disc. I played the shit out of that thing. And then my buddy growing up had the GameCube one, so this is one I haven't spent a lot of time with, but I do like the mechanics of Bloody Roar, so this is one that people forget is an Xbox exclusive, so I wanted to give it a little bit of a shine. There's not a bunch out there about it, so that's why I picked it.
Nice. Fighting game to end the year.
Yep. That's a going rate because of just Christmas and work schedules. Like, I think it's 2 in a row.
That's usually how it goes. Yeah. Yep. All right, well, tell us what you thought. Thanks for listening to the episode. I still don't have a good way to roll these out, and we've been doing this for so long.
Hey,
so
that's why you gotta keep coming. Give us ideas in the comments.
Yeah,
get a writer's credit, unlike the composer for this game.
But stay oppressed. Keep gaming. Collecti-Bros out.
Bye.